Good afternoon and welcome to the County of San Diego Citizen Law Enforcement Review Board hearing of February 6, 2025. We're calling this meeting to begin at 5:33. I'd like to remind everybody, if you wish to speak on an item on today's agenda, speaker slips are available at the front table in the center of the room and must be turned in prior to the item being called on the agenda to the CLERB secretary at the front of the room. I'd like to call roll. Secretary? Present.
Present.
Jim Mendelson.
Present.
Undergone.
Present.
And Ware.
Present.
Thank you so much. Just to read the statement, if applicable and just cause and/or consideration of a request to participate remotely for any board member or by a board member, voting item is necessary. We're going to go straight into public comments. This is an opportunity for members of the public to address the board on any subject matter that is within the board's jurisdiction, but not an item on today's open session agenda. Each speaker will be limited to 2 minutes. However, the time allotted for in-person, virtual, and written public comment may be adjusted by the board chair in their discretion. How many requests to speak do we have?
We have total of 12 requests to speak.
Thank you. Let's start with the in-person, please.
Thank you. First, we will start with Paloma Serna.
My name is Paloma Serna. I'm the mother of Elisa Serna, who died November 11, 2019 at the Las Colinas jail. I'm with North County Equity and Justice Coalition and Saving Lives in Custody. More information is needed to be made to the public regarding Zeke Samuel Davis' death. Was Mr. Davis taking medication while in custody? Did he know he had cancer prior to being arrested? Would he have died in the same amount of day if he was not in custody? And also, I know our time is limited, but I just want to say justice for Jarrell Lacey, Saxon Rodriguez, Omar Moreno Aurora, Gilbert Gill, Pedro Jr. Ornelas, Brandon Yates, Viviana Granero, Eric Wolf, Matthew Settle, Ruben Nunez, Paul Silva, Oscar Leal, Lonnie Rupert, Kevin Mills, Keith Bach, Patricia Adamson, Abdul Kamara, Raymond Vogelman, Joshua Fossbinder, and of course, Elisa Serna.
Thank you. Next, we will call Elka.
Hi, my name is Ilka Weston. I am part of North County Equity and Justice Coalition, Saving Lives in Custody campaign. Treat me, don't mistreat me. And something you're going to hear a lot from, transparency and accountability of probation and parole for youth and adults. I am speaking today on behalf of the Calhouns, a wonderful family. They thought, wow, our child made it through jail. She's going to come home. Her name is Victoria. The report will be in your inboxes tomorrow. We wanted to confirm everything. It is heartbreaking. Victoria was talking to her parent as well as her sister every day. They were really looking forward to her coming home. She made it through jail. She made it through prison. She made it through a reentry program, if you want to call it that. When they found her, it was 3 days after she had died. The person that called the family members was the coroner, not the probation agent, not the facility. And they claimed it was addiction, and it was a disease, as we know. Addiction and mental health is a crisis. This poor woman was not checked on for 3 days. We have no answers. And the probation agent in charge of this case did not even bother to call the family. It is heartbreaking. And so impressed these strong women are willing to take this further, because Victoria was born Joseph Calhoun. She was trying hard to become who she really was inside, who she was born. And it breaks my heart that they did not check on her as she was in a private room a private room. You will see the report in your inbox tomorrow. Again, I will always say addiction and mental health should be treated in a hospital setting, even before going to court. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we will call Sabrina Whittle.
Hello, my name is Sabrina Weddle. As most of you guys know, I'm the older sister of Saxon Rodriguez, who died July 20th, 2021 in San Diego Central Jail. I first want to start by saying it's nice to see that the deputies have been relieved of their duty of watching us as we, I guess, intimidated you guys enough to where we needed, again, deputies standing next to the podium. I don't really have much to say tonight, although as I go through the agenda for this evening, per usual, everything is dismissed. Summary dismissal. It's just, and what really caught my eye was the last page where Deputy Nettles stated, "Go ahead and report me, nothing will be done." And it's clear that nothing will ever be done. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will call David Settles.
Yes. Hello, I'm David Settles. I'm the brother of Matthew Settles, who passed away in George Bailey in 2022. Matthew had schizophrenia. I think I've spoken many a time here. So didn't have any prepared remarks, but what I wanted to say is, I did, we received information on what Matthew went through. It's really hard reading that myself and my family, seeing, pictures of where Matthew passed away and the conditions he was in. Do appreciate at least, having this information. It was 2 years after Matthew passed, but as hard as it was, we do want to know what happened to Matthew. It does help us, in the grieving. So I'm happy, SB 513 helped, and everyone who helped pass that. I guess my only point is, what was missing still is that the medical treatment. Matthew was severely, he was under the custodianship of the state. The family, we had no information of what Matthew was through. To see what he went through when we could not get the information, it's heartbreaking. So I just want to say, thank you, CLERB, for what you've done so far. And I'm hoping that we can still make progress on having more transparency of the medical staff and, improve the conditions for many who have mentally ill or drug addictions. If the jails where they're being treated, they need to be, get the treatment they need. So that's really important. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, we will call Yusuf Miller.
Good evening. My name is Yusuf Miller, North County Equity and Justice Coalition, Saving Lives in Custody, California. And I was looking through the report and saw all of the attention to body cams and the proper use of body cams, where deputies didn't use them correctly, and they're being called out for that. That is very important when it comes to documentation on what's happening to our communities. It appears that there are people who choose the right time to turn off their camera while they say something this way and then turn it back on and it's not included. We make sure that we keep our eyes on how these body cams are used. So thank you. Medical oversight. We're going to see medical oversight come up as an issue over and over and over again. It doesn't go away. It just seems that it's more concentrated, and we want to make sure that we concentrate on getting the oversight for the medical department so that we can do a better and more thorough job on the reasonings. We can't say that the person passed away is going to be of a medical thing, and then we don't have oversight of medical. People don't just die from administration. People don't die from time. They die from medical situations. So we definitely need the oversight on that. 519, SB 519 came out for transparency, not only just the director of in-custody deaths, but transparency so the families can get information in a timely manner. But now we're seeing 519 seems to be interpreted a different way, that we don't get the full transparency that the family needs. As David said about Matthew Settle's case, it's still 2 years and we're still only getting some. It's kind of like a slap in the face and a continued trauma to the families when they get bits and pieces over these years of their loved one being harmed. They want a conclusion, they want a closure of this issue so they can move on with their life and their soul and their heart. And lastly, I'll say that the deputies have been here. We are actually thankful that the deputies here, we had a good relationship before that one incident. And that incident was a combination of things that went wrong. But I'm glad to see that it's no longer an issue today. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will call Diana.
Hi. My beautiful daughter. Just some quick pictures. She was somebody. See, my daughter Viana. Okay, she's me and her. Me and her. Okay. Good evening, members of the Citizens Law Enforcement Review Board. My name is Diana Sanchez, and I am here today as a grieving mother seeking justice for my daughter, Viana Granillo. She was 25 years old, a young woman full of life and love. When she died while in custody of the San Diego County jail system, she was a mother, a daughter, and a person who deserved care, dignity, and the right to live. Viana was arrested on July 8, 2022 and booked into Las Colinas in Santee. Her medical history was on file. It was known that she suffered from opiate addiction and required withdrawal medication. Yet despite this knowledge, she was denied the medical care she desperately needed. For days she suffered, she begged for help. She pleaded for medication that could have saved her life, and for days she was ignored. It wasn't until 3 days after her arrest that she received her first dose of withdrawal medication, but then the damage had already been done. Severe withdrawal medications took over her body, leading to vomiting and diarrhea that went untreated. The negligence of the jail staff resulted in stomach perforation. My daughter was dying, and those responsible for her care did nothing. On the night she was found unresponsive in her cell, deputies failed her once again. They did not immediately render aid for 14 minutes, no CPR, nothing. Brain cells begin to die just 4 minutes without oxygen. I am here today not just as a grieving mother, but as an advocate for change. No family should have to endure the pain that mine has. No child should be left without a mother due to the preventable neglect for those in power. I demand answers, I demand accountability, and I demand immediate reforms be made to ensure that no one else suffers the way my daughter did. The CLERB has the power to push those changes, to hold those responsible accountable, and to ensure that those in custody receive the medical care they are entitled to. Viana's life mattered. Every life in custody matters. If we continue to ignore these injustices, we are complicit in them. I ask you, please, do not let my daughter's death be in vain. Use your voice, use your position, and your power to demand justice and reform. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will call Rachel Madrid. Rachel? Next, we will call Andrew Hayes.
Thank you, members. Hey, I'm just here tonight to thank you for all the wisdom and things I learned from you while I served on this board. I had to resign to pursue employment at the county. You can't serve on the county board and be a county employee, so I'm sorry to leave so abruptly, but I wanted to thank you all for your friendship and mentorship and just for your public service. I know the work that all of you put in to serve the county, and I want to thank the members of the community for being so consistent and fierce in your advocacy. I can tell you that being behind the seat over there, your work, your voices do matter, and it has influenced how this board looks at problems. So I just want to thank you for that. I also want to thank law enforcement for your constant, transparency with us. So thank you. And I just want to thank you all. So very grateful for you.
Vice Chair Kine, I will start calling the requesters via Zoom.
Thank you.
So first we will call Deidre McLeod.
My name is Deirdre McLeod, and I am a constituent of Board Supervisor Joel Anderson, District 2. My pronouns are she, her. There was a drop in the number of San Diego jail deaths in 2024, not because of any changes by the sheriff, except perhaps the increased availability of Narcan, and that policy was pushed by CLERB and community groups, not adopted by the sheriff's office of their own free will. The drop in jail deaths obviously wasn't because our jails are now cleaner or safer, as the recent independent ADA report shows continued filthy and deplorable conditions in the facilities. And the drop certainly isn't because SDSO's culture of cruelty has changed, as the recent federal indictment of a deputy on excessive force charges shows. No, jail deaths dropped because the inmate population dropped. And now Sheriff Martinez is reporting that nearly 400 people have been booked into San Diego jails on misdemeanor charges under Proposition 36. 400 people who wouldn't have been there before that change in the law. Add to that the increased criminalization of houseless people and immigrants, and our jail population is primed to explode again. This Citizen Oversight Board is already understaffed and overworked. The sheriff is resisting your ability to hold her department to account, denying access to records, and upending decades of precedent regarding CLERB jurisdiction. And the propaganda about needing more and larger jails has already started. Your mission just got a lot harder, and the result is a lot more people are about to lose their lives. I urge this board to become more vocal about the deadly impact of overcrowding and over-incarceration right here in our own community, because otherwise the drop in jail deaths in 2024 will be just an anomaly. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we will call Michael Cerna.
Yes, my name is Michael Cerna. I am the father of Elisa Cerna, who died November 11th, 2019 in Las Colinas. Recently, it was brought to my attention that the San Diego County Sheriff's Department was using on an Instagram a deputy that was involved in my daughter's death. They were using her as I don't know if it's a recruitment tool or whatever, but she was talking about her future and her plans and her hopes for the new year. Her name was Deputy Tony Hall Bennett. Her and also Lucky Lacey Lavisa were involved in my daughter's death. They made jokes about my daughter in her death throes. They sat their feet from my daughter as she died, laughing and joking, sipping on coffee. Tony Hall Bennett, she passed by my daughter's cell 2 and 3 times while my daughter lay there dying. And the deputy and the sheriff's department will use her as a promotional something on Instagram, but and think that she's a good example to be holding up in the public's eye. You know, my daughter will never be able to hope for her future because it was snuffed out that day when Tony Hall Bennett and Lucky Lacey Lavisa, the 2 deputies that were there with Danielle Pascual, and left my daughter to die on the jail floor. For this reason, I call tonight, and I call it to the public's attention. How could the sheriff's department, Kelly Martinez, use this in the public eye when this woman has disgraced the uniform? How could Kelly Martinez sit with me and my wife and say there is not a culture of death in the San Diego Sheriff's Department when they hold up this deputy as an example? Yes, there is a culture of death, and it needs to stop. And I hope that CLERB will stand against their debaucherous ways and their wickedness, and stand and hold them accountable in the public's eye. Thank you.
We have one more request to speak. I think we lost Dr. Fishman. Anyway. We have 2 comments to be read for the public. One from Sherry McCormick. The comment says, "I would like to promote community unity." That's the end of the comment. The second comment is from Dr. Tom Packard, again to be read for the record. The comment says, "The sheriff's recent lack of compliance with SD 519 represent another example of her refusal to share data that the CLERB is entitled to see, including data for the Mountain Whisper Light study and from CLERB reviews. Please ask the sheriff what she is afraid will happen if she releases the data. If her office is performing legally and professionally, she should have no fear about sharing data." That's the end of the comment. And Vice Chair Kinayub, I see Dr. Fishman is up again. Can I call him?
Yes, please.
Good evening. Thank you. I keep losing signal. I'm driving, but thank you. Dr. Darwin Fishman, he, him, his, Racial Justice Coalition San Diego, coming from my class. I just wanted to add to what's been shared already. And I know CLERB is dealing with a lot, but the other thing too to keep in consideration, and I was just in the alternatives incarceration meeting, but I'm an community advisory board member for ATI, is that with the new laws that are passed, there's going to be most likely an increase in the prison population, and that's going to put even more intense pressure on CLERB for your role that you play. We already know what the conditions are in the jails and how deadly they can be. And if you're increasing the population, increasing people that are on house, that are dealing with mental health and drug addiction, then it's going to make it even, of course, potentially worse. And custody deaths can easily spike back up, as what's been shared with you. I would encourage CLERB, I know this is above and beyond your duty, but the truth is we also need you to be active in this process, giving testimony, explaining what your role is, what the work is that you're doing to elected officials like the supervisors and shifts like AI that are trying to find alternatives to incarceration, and add your expertise and your knowledge to that. Besides the role of investigating complaints, I wanted to add that, and there's still obviously more cases that keep coming up and more news coverage, media coverage that keeps coming up. And with that, I just want to say that the community is still looking at, still questioning the role that CLERB plays and what kind of oversight you're doing. So having that pro, being active in that way will really help. It'll help to get community buy-in. Thank you.
That concludes our request to speak for item number 3.
Thank you so much. And I do want to thank everybody that came this evening and spent their time with us and informed us of their own journeys to get here. We are going to move on to the minutes approval. I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Who did that? Dr. Brown? Second?
Is there a second? Thank you, Adele. Secretary, if you could call the roll.
Vice Chair Nadia Kinayub?
Yes.
Secretary Bonnie Kink, yes. Dr. Brown?
Yes.
Adele Fasano?
Yes.
Jim Mendelson?
Since I wasn't formally here, I think I need to recuse myself on that.
Abstain?
Abstain.
Ariana Federico Mondragon?
Here.
Tim Ware? Motion passes.
Thank you so much. We're going to move on to our speaker for the evening, Chief of Probation Tamika Nelson. Tamika, how would you like to be addressed?
Chief Nelson is fine. Thank you.
Chief Nelson. Whenever you're ready, Chief Nelson, to begin.
First off, let me just say good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me this evening. Thank you to all who arrived here safely this evening. I know it's sprinkling and whatnot, so I just appreciate you guys taking the time. So I'm here tonight just to give a presentation and overview of the San Diego County Probation Department. So next slide, please. My name's Tamika Nelson. I'm the Chief Probation Officer for San Diego County Probation. I've been in this position for a little bit over 3 years. I'm the first woman chief of the department in its 100-year history. I come by way of San Joaquin County. I was working for that probation department for a little bit over 22 years before I transitioned here to my home in San Diego. I want to talk about who we are as a probation department. We are a highly skilled team committed to protecting public safety by coaching clients to restore their lives, families, and communities in which they live. We are more than 1,000 San Diegans serving our neighbors, providing services to clients while balancing support and accountability. I believe in the work that we do because the work that we do matters. The work we do strives to have positive impacts in the lives of our clients and our communities. I'm here leading this team with the core values of service, commitment, and compassion as my foundation, with the goal to continue to have a positive impact on our community. Next slide, please. This is a picture of one of our graduating classes of those who are currently serving in our department and also serve as our community. When I say we're more than 1,000 San Diegans, I mean that. We believe our communities, the ones we serve and the people who we count as community inside our departments, they are not mutually exclusive, so we have communities serving the community. Next slide, please. Our top priorities are as follows. Our goal is to do what is best for our community through balance, engagement, services, training, and stability. Balance, we want to maintain our uniqueness as probation and maintain balance in support and accountability. We don't just have enforcement powers, but we also provide social services to those who come under our jurisdiction. For engagement, we want to increase quality engagement with our clients and our community. For services, we want to deliver quality services to our clients, supported by data and principles of evidence-based approaches. For training, we believe in continuous education for all staff to stay innovative, pass on knowledge, challenge us to grow in our perspectives and our approaches. And for stability, we want to stabilize our workforce through succession planning and evaluation of our efficiencies to maximize our capabilities and our capacity. Next slide, please. Thank you. The probation department has two main service areas for our community. We have the adult reintegration and community supervision services area. This serves our adult and AB 109 populations and pretrial. And then we have our youth development and community support services area. Both service areas provide evidence-based programming focused on case management and assessment to link clients to services that will assist in their rehabilitation. We work in collaboration with county law and justice partners, the Superior Court, law enforcement, education partners, and community leaders. ARCS provides pretrial monitoring, reentry services, and community supervision to our adults involved in the justice system. YDCSS fully supports youth and their families with the focus on trauma-informed care and positive youth development. YDCSS also provides community outreach, prevention, and intervention programs to strengthen families, increase youth resiliency, and to help youth exit the juvenile justice system. The department operates 2 facilities for youth, including the Youth Transition Campus and the East Mesa Juvenile Detention Facility. Next slide, please. To better understand the probation department and the nature of what we do, it's important to note that the probation department is an arm of the court in that the department is a neutral third party in the justice system. We are an agency that is responsible for monitoring and assisting clients in complying with orders of the court. This includes case management and linking clients to appropriate services to address their rehabilitative needs and overcome other barriers to support their desistance from crime, basically their successful cessation to criminal activity. Probation plays an important role within the justice system by overseeing individuals navigating the court process, serving as an arm in the court, and facilitating successful community reentry and supervision. We provide essential services and support while upholding accountability to safeguard public safety. Moreover, we actively engage with our communities to ensure both youth and adults have the necessary resources and opportunities to restore their lives. We provide judges with vital background information to help identify appropriate sentences and interventions, supervise and engage with clients in custody and in the community, utilize evidence-based practices, assist victims through restorative efforts, and connect and collaborate with our communities, families, and our clients. Next slide, please. As of January 13, 2025, our pretrial services unit was monitoring 1,292 adults placed by court on supervised own recognizance as they were going through the court process. That doesn't mean supervision, just monitoring to ensure that they show up to court. We link them to services. If they need housing, employment assistance, food, we will connect them to those services as they continue through their court process. Probation officers were supervising 9,167 clients, including 8,443 adults and 724 youth. 262 youth were in custody. The realigned populations, those sent to our local agency, basically from the state, back to our county, both on adult and juvenile levels, has changed the landscape of California's criminal and juvenile justice system by shifting state responsibilities to the counties. Of the 8,443 adults on community supervision, 1,694 were being supervised as a part of AB 109 adult realignment. They were sent back from state prisons to us here locally. Of the 262 youth on community supervision, 65 of those were sent back from the Department of Juvenile Justice, the state youth prison. Next slide, please. The probation department operates in 18 locations throughout our county, including 10 community supervision offices, 2 youth facilities, 2 reentry centers, a training center, and an administrative center. To enhance client access to care, staff members are co-located with the Health and Human Services Agency at local wellness and resource centers. Additionally, staff are co-located with certain law enforcement agencies to promote public safety. Next slide, please. In the last 5 years, the probation department has opened numerous new facilities and remodeled others to ensure the clients are provided with services in environments that are conducive to the best possible care. We invited community members of all backgrounds to provide input and feedback for these new and remodeled offices and facilities. The department strives to locate field offices in the highest utilizing regions to reduce transportation times. We provide space for service providers to work out of regional probation offices to eliminate missed opportunities for treatment, assessments, and linkages. We include services and offices that help more than just those on probation as well. We have things like food pantries, GED programs, also in the local neighborhoods where they're located, the community members have opportunities to use those spaces in the community spaces as well. Newly constructed facilities include the department opened the youth transition campus that includes a brand new school that is separate from the living units, state-of-the-art career and technical education services, multi-purpose gymnasium and performing arts space, an outdoor recreation space, new kitchen and culinary arts and cafeteria program, large family visitation, space for case management, and medical services. Each cottage has 12 individual rooms where youth can customize and decorate their own spaces. There are mental health clinician offices in each cottage, dedicated programming therapy space, and warm, welcoming day rooms. The department opened phase 2 of our youth transition campus. That includes facilities for predispositional youth, so those who have not completely gone through the court system, including housing units and direct access to exterior patios and recreational areas. The educational complex resembles a community school with classrooms that are trauma-informed and include a multi-purpose room for school assemblies and graduations. The department opened the Youth Development Center as a state-of-the-art facility designed to provide exceptional customer service to youth on probation supervision, and also to their families. We also opened the Community Support Office at the Ohio Street location in North Park. This space primarily serves residents of Mid-City San Diego, so North Park, City Heights, and includes on-site community service providers, community space, and the food pantry. The county opened the Southeastern Livewell Center, for Health and Human Services Agency and probation staff, where county services are offered that are trauma-informed and culturally sensitive to promote health and well-being of our clients, families, and communities. That space also has a community room. Newly remodeled facilities include the updating the interior design and furnishings of our Youth Development Academy that is housed within our East Mesa Juvenile Detention Facility for our youth that were returned from the Department of Juvenile Justice. This space supports physical space for positive youth development, provides functional space to meet programming goals, and encourages pro-social interactions between staff and youth. The department monitors over 80 contracts for services. This slide includes some examples of the types of programs and services that are provided to clients through contracts monitored by the department. As you can see, the list of contracted programs and services is vast, including housing and resource navigators, interim housing, job readiness, reentry services, cognitive behavioral therapy, health and wellness services, community-based programming, family therapy, mentoring, diversion, mental health clinicians, alcohol and drug program specialists, and many more. Next slide, please. Some of the department's current initiatives. Right now, we are, like the rest of the state, going a transformation through Medi-Cal. The department collaborates with our Health and Human Services Agency to plan for the implementation of the CalAIM initiative, to advocate for clients in our juvenile facilities to enroll in and receive a focus on continuity of care. So ensuring that prior to their release, they're still connected to a healthcare provider. When they release, they continue that connection to a healthcare provider, which is inclusive of mental health and behavioral health services. This enhanced care coordination is our priority to advance health equity and improve physical and behavioral health outcomes. The department is receiving technical assistance from the National Institute of Corrections and Justice System partners to implement the organizational coaching model to support a behavior change initiative, which provides training and technical assistance to address organizational culture, management styles, policies and procedures, and the environment to transform the agency with a coaching model that supports behavior change interventions and evidence-based practices for people on community supervision. We applied for a grant for mobile probation service centers. And we're in the process of building 2 mobile probation service centers that will strengthen the department's ability to perform additional outreach, deliver case management services, and provide linkages to care and assistance directly to clients in all regions and closer to where they live. We are finishing the construction process and will receive these vehicles later. Radio frequency identification, or otherwise known as RFID. For our juvenile facilities, we are implementing the RFID system, which is a user-friendly electronic tracking system that enhances the safety and security of youth and staff by improving the monitoring of youth for safety checks and during programming while collecting data electronically. We last year brought on an integrated healthcare services unit. The department created an integrated healthcare services unit under the clinical direction and leadership of a medical director dedicated to enhancing the care and support provided to youth in our detention facilities and clients under probation supervision. This is for both in custody and out of custody. This team is committed to delivering high quality services that drive improved outcomes for those we serve. In our East Mesa Juvenile Detention Facility upgrades, the department is updating aging major systems at the East Mesa Juvenile Detention Facility, such as the HVAC system, electrical and security enhancements, such as upgraded camera systems. We are also creating additional space to enhance career technical education programs. Next slide, please. Community engagement is at the center of what we do. During fiscal year 2023 and 2024, the department participated in over 130 community engagement events, including youth recreation events, crime prevention, resource fairs, public safety events, fitness events, sporting events, parades, fundraisers, recruitment and job fairs, and community forums. These community engagement events provided resources to address the needs of the community and provided opportunities for individuals, including those with lived experience, to be involved. Examples of some of the community engagement events include distributing monthly food care packages throughout San Diego County for adult and juvenile clients and their families, as well as the general community. We host food drives several times a year during the year to assist local food banks in collection of non-perishable food. We convene citizens academies that allow community members to gain an increased understanding of the role, operations, and practices of probation. We participate in homeless court pop-ups, resource fairs, and veteran stand-downs events that other agencies across the county, which present a unique opportunity for clients experiencing homelessness to receive services, information, and referrals in non-enforcement capacity. It is imperative that the probation department continues to connect with our community through engagement events and providing support. Just as much as we participate in its events, we get a lot from these events in connecting with our community. It helps us to be inclusive. The community offers a lot of support, has a lot of ideas, and offers basically resources on how they can also assist in helping our clients. We are an organization of San Diegans serving our neighbors. Next slide, please. On this slide are just some examples of client success stories. In the first story, in our placement division staff, they supervised a youth who had been active in the child welfare system since 2017 with multiple out-of-home placements. The youth had no identified relatives that would care for them. This became a prioritization for our department to place with kin, and we were able to work with our court to overcome barriers and find a relative that was not located here in our state, but we were able to find a relative and connect them with that relative. The youth is doing well, helping at home, attending church, and going to school. The second story recognizes a participant in our Veterans Court. The adult client completed Aspire, a 6-month residential treatment program for veterans, and now is nearly 2 years sober. He's completed a total of 50 volunteer hours serving as a crossing guard for school, working at a landscaping project and rescue in our county. His work also includes work that he can help others, which is a desire. He's currently enrolled to become a certified nursing assistant and is scheduled to take the state licensing exam. In the third story, the probation department funds cognitive behavioral therapy program for adults on supervision. It helps participants to think differently, learn healthy and positive lifestyle changes. A participant in the group shared with their peers, "I'm hoping for a lot of growth and peace in my life this year. I want to be there for my children, my wife, and overall for myself. I know that staying on the right track and being in my programs will help me accomplish that." And that will pretty much conclude my probation or my probation in my presentation. But in closing, the probation department has embraced being one team in service to the county of San Diego. We will continue to support our clients and our community while being innovative in our approaches and live up to our guiding principles of service, commitment, and compassion. We will continue to promote positive change in the people that we serve by balancing support and opportunity. And that will conclude my presentation.
Thank you, Chief Nelson. I will now open it up to board member questions.
Chief Nelson, thank you very much for coming out. You mentioned the mobile probation centers. You guys have two. Have you determined, are they going to work one in the south and one in the north, or how's that going to work?
We hope so, but we want them to be, well, of course, they're mobile. And we hope that they can go everywhere where our clients are. And we're basically trying to eliminate barriers. We understand there's barriers to transportation. We understand there's barriers with our homeless population. So we're hoping that we can, we might keep them parked centrally, but they will service all areas of the county. Should other opportunities come up, and we find that they are providing the intended services that we're looking for and reaching the populations that are hard to reach, then we will certainly see if there's opportunities to apply for more grants in order to expand those opportunities so we can serve those who can't quite get in to see us.
Are those services only for those on probation?
No. So we wouldn't turn away anyone who walked up, to one of our mobile probation centers. We intend to still collaborate with our partners. I know that the Health and Human Service Agency, they have like the Live Well mobile vehicles that go around. We would do the same thing. Even if they weren't a client of ours, we would certainly know how to refer them to a service or link them to a service. So we'll still work in collaboration with our county partners. We certainly believe that if you walk through the door and you're asking for help, we're here to help you. So we're not going to say, oh, that's not our job. We're going to help you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Brown.
Thank you, Chief, for this presentation and come out to see us tonight. I would just like to commend you for your leadership, your department, and all the great work you do. That's about all I have. I know it's a huge responsibility, and I know you work very hard to make sure everything is done right. So thank you again for that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Ariana.
Thank you, Chief, for joining us and giving us this presentation. For the coach model, I want to ask if in the coaching model you would include folks who have lived experience. Is that how you envisioned this coaching model?
Right now, under the grant, they're training our staff. My hope is with the finishing of the training that we would be basically train the trainers so that we can sustain this for long term. And if that's possible, I don't have an issue we work with a lot of lived experience, both in our, with partners in our custody and also in the community. I wouldn't have an issue also providing that kind of training on helping them elevate those skills about coaching and how we can support people in our communities. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have seen how just folks who have lived experience have given back, and it really is a true passion, and it's a great opportunity for them to connect with adults and young people who who understand those experiences. For the facility upgrades, upgrading the camera systems, where what does that currently look like right now? Like, is there audio? Is it clear? Like, how are images being captured or video? And how do the upgrades look like?
It's still no audio, but we do recognize that there's blind spots in the facility. So just ensuring that we cover those. looking at some for our exterior as well. So just increasing the number of those. We did not incorporate audio. From that level, it's kind of difficult just because of the space and it echoing, and you would just hear noise or it wouldn't be very clear. But at this time, we didn't incorporate audio, just adding additional cameras along our interior for blind spots and along our exterior at our East Mesa facility.
Okay, thank you. And I do want to share, even though it might not be as exciting, the radio frequency identification. I think that it's really important. Getting, how are you doing that before? Like any of
Paper.
yeah, paper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
So trying to bring us into this century a little bit, slowly but surely. I know it's costly, but you know, once it's fully implemented and working out any of the kinks or anything like that, then it will be able to collect data. We will be able to pull that information quickly. But we think it's imperative for our youth that are in custody and also for our officers as well. So it's just an additional tool versus the paper tracking of this.
thank you. And then I do have a question. I believe at the jails, folks are able to um, know where they can submit complaints. How does that happen with youth or incarcerated in detention?
Those signs are posted all throughout the facilities. They are also included in their youth handbook and part of their orientation when they come in. So youth have the ability, we have our own ombuds within our department. They are by law, you know, you
Yeah.
have to let them know about PREA, so Prison Rape Elimination Act. So we provide education on that so they're able to report that. You can report it to anyone. You can be anonymous. And so we also have posters in our facility for the Office of Youth and Community Restoration. We provide information on our website for families so they know that they can report to CLERB, they can report to our Juvenile Justice Commission. So BSCC, there's many ways that people can report incidents or even internally with our own citizens complaint process. So we make that information readily available. For our youth, it's posted in each of the units. It's posted in our visiting area. So when families come in, they know their rights and the youth's rights, and the youth are provided a handbook.
Thank you. When we had the Sheriff Martinez here, she shared of some of the groups that, you know, provide like oversight. Are there any other groups that provide oversight for probation?
So many. And most of those probably will cross over with the sheriff. So we have Board of State and Community Corrections. So there are certain regulations that we must follow to operate our facilities. We have our Juvenile Justice Commission. They also provide guidance to our courts and to us about things that they would like to see happening. They work in collaboration with us. They do tours. They do inspections every year. We are inspected every year by BSCC, the Juvenile Justice Commission. We also have now Office of Youth and Community Restoration, which was established when the youth were returned to us from the state. They can come in and they can do inspections for BSCC and OYCR. Those are both state agencies. They're required to do an annual inspection, and they can do surprise inspections. So those are the two state agencies. For our Juvenile Justice Commission, we meet quarterly. They come in, and that's comprised of people who apply through the court to be on that commission to work with us, and our partners who work with us, so behavioral health services, county office of education, anyone who provides services within our facility, and say, how can we do better for our youth? Are there things we're missing? What things are we doing well? And move forward. And they have to provide that report to the court, and then we go from there. I'm trying to think. We are also inspected as part of some of those inspections for public health because operating our medical services, so we have to comply with that, environmental services. education. So an outside school district has to come in and inspect and make sure that we're providing the proper education. It can't be COE who provides that. It has to be an outside school district. So we are inspected by a lot of agencies. The grand jury comes through, and so
Yeah. So it's not just like facilities, it's the
no.
services that are being
No.
provided. Okay. Thank you for sharing that.
Adele.
Thank you again for being here with us this evening. A couple of follow-up questions, following on to some of the points that were just made. One is that you spoke about accountability. So I had a question about, have you considered the use of body-worn cameras at all to help fill the void of audio when there are incidents or other things that happen in the facility?
I can't say it hasn't crossed my mind. Um, um, it just hasn't come up yet. Of course, with anything, you're in those considerations. A lot of considerations have to be taken up. It is expensive to have body worn cameras, and it it's not as simple as if we get them, then you have to get the equipment, you have to store it, who's going to watch it, who's going to monitor it. It's that's on top of your 24-hour operation. It's something that we're considering, but at this time, it would not be feasible for us.
Okay. And my other question is, in terms of the various inspections and reviews that are done of your operation and facilities, have you shared any of those with CLERB?
I don't think we have, but if you can look at the BSCC website and OICR, and those results would be on there. It's public. I believe the Juvenile Justice Commission also posts theirs online. It's public.
Because we do have an opportunity to make recommendations, and if there's issues, as you mentioned, with resources or in other areas, you know, we can present those findings to the Board of Supervisors or whatever other audiences are out there that might help you in achieving your mission.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Ware.
Yeah, thank you, Chief. I forgot to ask this question earlier. You mentioned the realigned population has changed the landscape. And as a former deputy probation officer, when I saw those individuals coming back from the state population, I was concerned for our staff. Are we trained appropriately to work with that population at the juvenile level?
I would say we are trained with what's out there. You know, we are still approaching that. Although these youth came back to us from the state, there are some hurdles that we're trying to overcome, and it's basically having an institutionalized mentality from those youth that returned. Unfortunately, and it's sad for our officers to see, and all the staff that work with our youth, even the teachers, our behavioral health, our medical staff, to see that almost like a want to escalate further into the system, and everybody else is trying around you to say that is not the way. You know, there's a different way, there's a different path for you. So in that respect, I would say that there's still that type of gap out there, and that's for everybody, not just us in particular. But for my staff, I will say that because these youth did come from here, they're part of our community, that we are the right people to basically welcome them home, embrace them, and try to prepare them to come back into our community, working with their families and seeing how we can serve them here. Also working with our victims so that they're not traumatized as well, but you know, that educating them on basically this happened, but we're trying to make everyone, I guess, work together, be more restorative, and how can we know that, ensure that people re-enter the community. And so for those young adults that came back upwards to 25, age 25, we just continue to do that work. we had a what we call a transitional age population, but they were sentenced under the adult system. And so just incorporating some of those lessons learned with that group, such as adolescent brain development. So still incorporating some of those base tendencies with this population and working with them. Also still working with the lived experience community as well, and those who have been through the system to say, I've been there, but let's see how we can help you get on the right track, and what do you want to do for your family. One of the programs that we are currently operating with this population is our fire academy, and that's in collaboration with our county fire department, so CAL FIRE, and it is proven so helpful. And we had they haven't graduated the full program. We have a couple of phases going, but having their families come in at each phase when they meet those phases, and the families seeing the difference there and getting the encouragement from the families. And the families aren't only encouraging the youth that are in that academy, but also encouraging the officers because they see that they're trying to work with them, and our fire captain is working with them. It's so exciting. Recently, the Border 2 fire occurred, and our youth wanted to go help, and we're like, no, we know you're getting trained, we know, but this is, let fire handle that. We're getting you trained, so when you do graduate, and then you can apply for that job, then that will be your job, and you can go out and help it. At this time, we appreciate the thought. We just need you to kind of help out in custody right now, and stick to the program, encourage and they call each other brothers, encourage your brothers in this program and tell them how great it is, and keep having each other's backs. Like, we're brothers now. It didn't matter where we came from. It didn't matter what we go through. We have a common mission, a bigger goal here. So it's exciting to see that. So we just want to keep that momentum. And even if it's not the fire program, because we know some of our youth have other interests, figuring out what that interest is to capture basically that kind of magic with them, so that they start encouraging one another, and hopefully what our goal is, once they re-enter and they exit the juvenile justice system, that they become ambassadors. They give back basically and say, hey, you don't have to go the route I went, but if you did, you can make it out on the other side.
Yeah, I was out there on the Border 2 fire line, and we almost did need them.
Mhm.
So, but thank you very much.
Mr. Mendelson.
Chief, thank you for a very enlightening presentation on all the tremendous positive programs you have. Am I wrong in assuming, though, that you still have to have some of the more traditional aspects of providing formal supervision for people that the courts give them a deal where they're subject to search and seizure, formal drug testing, so you have probation officers that have to do that at the same time you have all these other programs?
Yes, we are still an arm of the court. So if a court orders a client or someone on probation to have those conditions, then yes, we do still have to perform those duties because as a court order. Yes.
Are there any more board questions? Okay, I have a question. Oh, let me ask my question really quick. So my question is one that has been asked at every board meeting, I believe, for the last 6 months. And I'd like clarification from you, Chief Nelson. I was advised that the probation department does not have to follow ADA compliance. This was specifically in question to the neurodivergent children that are within your custody. The ideas that were presented were stated that because they have an IEP, it is a HIPAA regulation in order for the deputies who interact with them on a daily basis to not understand that they are neurodivergent. Neurodivergence can often cause fight or flight responses, which can seem like they are violent acts, but they are actually not. It is also said that the majority of Black and brown children that are taken into custody suffer from neurodivergence. So of course, this is a top concern for me, specifically for the youth within the probation department. So I am asking, please, for clarification on how the probation department sees ADA compliance and why it is not enacted for the children who are neurodivergent and why that is not passed on to the officers that work with them on a daily basis.
Well, you had a whole paragraph there, so what I can do is follow up with you on that. What I will say is this: the youth that come into our custody, they come into the custody via the court. So the probation department is not bringing, let's say, no one comes into our custody unless arrested and ordered by the court to be in our custody. And I know you're specifically talking about youth. So when they're brought in by law enforcement, we have the information that we have. Right now, I am not aware of a screening process for that. However, if notified when we do contact the parents upon booking, if they haven't already been contacted if the parents haven't already called, said, hey, my kid is coming in, this is what's going on, we work in collaboration with the parents. We work in collaboration with our medical staff. We do have collaborations with our school. So if the school has information, if the parents have information, if through medical care, that information is provided, if we do work in collaboration with our regional center. So if any of that information is passed on, we will work within that context. However, specifically indicating, I'll just say this, we all know in our justice system that Black and brown youth and Black and brown people are incarcerated at higher rates than counterparts. So that is not a surprise. However, on specific to neurodivergency, I don't have any data points to say there's a majority of those youth or even at the jails, a majority of those people have a neurodivergency. So I don't want to give you that false sense of this is what it is. And until I actually have that information, I don't have that information. If information is made known to us, we will work within that context to assist and lean on our expertise and guidance from our partners. That's including our medical. Any information is provided through IEP. Any information is provided through, let's say, regional center or whomever. We will work within that guidance on approaches to work with those type of youth, including timeouts, noise reduction, and trying to provide that kind of space for our youth. So that's as good as I can get you this evening, but I can follow up on the rest of your question later, or have my team follow up on the rest of that question later.
I appreciate that. Can I also ask, and you do not have to answer this, but I am just putting it out there. Given San Diego's diverse racial makeup, would the probation department be open to keeping data on the amount of children that are put into custody that are neurodivergent?
Let me consider that. I do understand the diverse makeup of as far as racial makeup of San Diego County, because that is publicly readily available. I don't know publicly if the overall population of San Diego has data about the neurodivergency statistics for our county so that it can be comparable to our in custody population. Right now I can go on a census and pull up from the age, gender, and race. That's it. I haven't seen anything on there that discerns any neurodivergency or anything, but if that's information you have, I'd greatly take it so that we can see if there's those comparable differences. But right now we don't collect that data. And so I'll take it under consideration.
I truly appreciate that. And I believe Ms. Federico Mondragon had a comment.
Yeah, there's been a couple of tours that were offered to CLERB members, and I just haven't been able to attend them. Was wondering if we could make another request to visit the facilities.
Yes.
I know we do also have new members as well.
Yes.
Thank you.
Are there any more questions? Thank you, Chief Nelson, for your time. We appreciate you coming here and explaining to us. We are going to open it up for public comment. You're welcome to stay. If not, we appreciate and I hope you enjoy your evening.
Thank you, and I just want to say thank you all for your service. Congratulations to Brett on your new appointment. And so you guys have a good evening.
Thank you. Nars, can you tell us how many people we have for public comment, please?
Total of 5 requests to speak on this item.
Excellent. Since we have 5 requests to speak, we will keep it at 2 minutes.
Thank you. First, we will start calling Mr. Yusuf Miller.
Yusef Miller, North County Equity and Justice Coalition. But today I'm here under the Transparency and Accountability for Probation and Parole. This is a new organization that we just put together, and we find that there are some issues that we want to clarify with probation. And I'm glad that you brought up the issue of whether we have the data to breakdown of neurodivergence, and not only in youth, but also adults. We have some issue on what is the breakdown, what is the landscape of probation, and we don't know. Also, with these third-party contracts, who has the actual oversight on those third-party contracts? In some of those living spaces, we find that we have, and we've been reached out to by families of in-custody deaths. There was one in-custody death that we know about that when Victoria died, no one from probation reached out to the family. The family was informed of the death by the coroner. Now, the coroner, even though the family has an emergency contact number of the sister, they had no idea that their loved one was passed. So that's just one. How many other people in that same situation have passed and we have no idea? This is not fair to the families. And if the families if the coroner didn't have the family's information, the family would never know that their loved one passed away. When things go good, they look great. But when things go bad, we want to know who's accountable. When we put in a complaint to the probation office, they denied the complaint. Whose complaint? It was my complaint, so I'm speaking from personal experience. They denied the complaint on the premise that I had no firsthand knowledge of these 4 youth who overdosed in the probation, and all in the same day. You, the CLERB, had to get your lawyers involved, as if they didn't even fall under the CLERB, they wouldn't answer any questions. And as far as the community goes, we tried to meet with probation and we didn't get anywhere. We would like to meet with probation.
Thank you. Next, we will call Paloma Serna.
So I would like to echo a lot of the things that Yusuf Miller stated. Also, too, it's great to see the presentation of all the good things that's happening. We would like those to have more success stories, because God forbid, these youth, they grow up in the same direction and they end up in the county jail and die in those jails. And also, too, I would like to know about the overdoses. I know the camera system was brought up, about the body-worn camera. I think that is such a great idea. It protects the youth, but also the staff. And plus, too, we get to see if the staff is actually doing their job and doing the safety cell checks. Last year the county settled a 1.1 million when Alan Agrulas, he was 16 and he died of a fentanyl overdose. And then here you have, for the month of January, there's about 28 use of force resulting in great bodily harm. They're all does. This is very concerning. I wish, the things that is not going great in the juvenile halls and with probation was brought up also, because these are what we are concerned about. And also too, I'm sorry. What about the high-risk juveniles? Is there compassion training going on? With those juveniles, we need just more information about what is not working in the probation department. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will call Sabrina Whittle. Thank you. Next, we will call Ilka.
Hi, Ilka Weston here again with North County Equity and Justice Coalition and Transparency and Accountability for probation and parole, which is amazing that we had that presentation today. So thank you for that. But what I saw was a marketing plan. You can make anything look really great. What I want to know is who's falling through the cracks. And we have families here who have lost their family members in jail. And how far back did that happen? We have 17.5% homeless that are at-risk youth from the LGBTQ community, most likely, as what has been seen when I've interacted with them. There's a huge problem with that. And as you said, Nadia, the IEP, the neurodivergent, there was no plan there. And that is often young adults that get, the confusion, and then they're criminalized in detention centers when they should be in healthy rehabilitation centers. I brought up a case today, a woman trying to transition who was criminalized from her drug use and her mental health problems from very young and died and wasn't even checked on for 3 days. So I love these marketing plans. And we saw the sheriff's marketing plans. I want action. And it is true. People of color are criminalized, even if they're youth or adults, on a higher level. And that is not okay. And that's why I'm grateful for all of you here. And I always back up what I say at county or in an email to county. And I think we should dig deeper into this. I respect her very much, and I know she's very approachable, which I really love. But we need to know about the cases that fell through the cracks, because we have family members who have lost people that should have been treated differently. Thank you.
Thank you. We will start calling the online requesters. First, we will start with Deidre McLeod.
My name is Deidre McLeod, and I am a constituent of Board Supervisor Joel Anderson, District 2. My pronouns are she, her. When the Union Tribune published a front-page article last October about recent problems at the county's probation department, I urged my supervisor to call for the resignation of Chief Probation Officer Nelson. Instead, in December, the Board of Supervisors gave her a raise. I'd like to remind CLERB of what's occurred under the CPO's watch in just the last year and a half. In one day in 2023, 4 children in the department's care were taken to the hospital for possible drug overdoses. Children in the department's care were allegedly called racist slurs and shown sexually explicit films. A developmentally disabled child had their head smashed into a concrete floor by an officer. Witnesses to misconduct by fellow probation department employees declined to come forward for fear of retaliation. And the department has repeatedly refused to cooperate with CLERB's independent investigations that the people of San Diego have required for decades. It's to the point that E.O. Kalina has been quoted in the paper saying that the board is considering legal action to force probation's cooperation. The chief probation officer is supposed to protect the kids in her care and work with this oversight body. In any other situation, other than law enforcement or juvenile incarceration, derelictions of duty of this magnitude would be enough to force the resignation of the person in charge, but not with San Diego County's probation department. There, these failures to protect our youth and obey longstanding laws instead become reasons to give the chief probation officer a raise. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will call Darwin Fishman.
Good evening. Thank you. I just wanted to share, since I was on the Juvenile Justice Commission, I was the second vice chair, and I was responsible for critical incident reports. Just the background, the 5 years I was on there, there was only one in custody death. So on one level, probation and the juveniles, there's just night and day difference, much better. This also predates Chief Nelson coming in. So I think that's important background. And then having met with the staff and doing the tours, it's also clear it's night and day in terms of the culture, how they run it. There's definitely issues. With Juvenile Justice Commission, we definitely ran into issues with drug use and overdose. So I appreciate folks speaking to that, and certainly probation should be pushed on that. I did want to also say for CLERB benefit, I was the one that introduced Paul Parker to Juvenile Justice Commission, and he was nice enough to come over and present to us. And I hope that that relationship is not lost. And just one correction for Chief Nelson, the posters that you're talking about actually really is because of our collaboration with Paul Parker, because Juvenile Justice Commission, we basically shared with him that needed to be done. Um, that 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 oversight needed to be done, and it wasn't. The youth that we were talking to did not know how to file complaints and who to work with in that respect. CLERB needs to be proactive on that, and ideally get access directly to the youth and speak to them about it. If they do have complaints and issues, do they know what to do? The vast majority of youth we did talk to did not know that. And again, we were in the process of working with Paul Parker on that at that time. And I did want to highlight that. And yes, probation needs oversight and community push on these issues. But there is also a lot they're doing right. And certainly their in custody death rate shows that.
That concludes the request to speak for this item.
Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody that spoke up this evening. We are going to go into our executive officers report.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. My name is Brett Kalana. I'm the executive officer of CLERB. My pronouns are he, him. I've got a lot of things. I know we've had 2 months since we've last had an opportunity. I hope everyone had an opportunity to have a great holiday season with their families. I know our staff enjoyed some extra time to do that as well. So we're very appreciative of having the break, and they worked really hard to get that break. First off, I just want to let you know that we've been conducting interviews for our special investigator positions that are open. One of those is for a retiring special investigator, Ellen Bohan. This is going to be her last meeting tonight. And I want to really thank her for 6 years of working with CLERB and then over 25 years of working with the county. She has been a fantastic person for us, worked very hard, and she does an amazing job with the intake. She does most of our intake, and she does a wonderful job of getting people that maybe aren't in the right place to go to CLERB, but she takes the time to make sure that they get to the right places, whether it's other city offices, filing complaints, private organizations. She really takes that time. So I just want to really thank her for her time and effort that she's put into this position, and we're really going to miss her. And so we have 2 open spots. We're conducting more interviews next week. So once we get that on board, we will also give an opportunity to the full board to go out on different events, to jail visits, to probation, detention facility visits, ride-alongs. Those things are going to be offered to the board as long as they will be offered to the new employees and the new board members. We'll get that open to everybody. And obviously Andrew had a chance, but I do want to also thank G.I. Wilson for his service to CLERB. He didn't want to come tonight, and he didn't want to make a big fuss about himself, but I am very appreciative of his effort and the many years of service to CLERB. I think it's important for the community to understand that our board members serve as volunteers. This is done without pay. They are spending their time, their free time here to make CLERB better, and I'm very thankful for that. So people like G.I. and Andrew who have done that, I'm very appreciative. I want to thank the sheriff's liaison and the detention inspection services for putting together that training that the board got last month. We were able to go out to their facilities. We were able to get training on less than lethal weapons, use of canines, defensive tactics, and simulations. And I think it was a really good opportunity for our board members to see up close some of the things that the sheriff's department uses in that or less than lethal, and get a chance to meet some of the people that are out there doing that job. So I'm really appreciative of that time, and I know Mr. Perkins will hopefully continue this yearly going forward. I want to give you guys a little update on medical jurisdiction. I know it's been a little bit of quiet time since the board passed the resolution to move forward with that for CLERB. We are awaiting our parents group, the FG3, will be putting together a memo that will go to the board that will discuss two issues for CLERB. One will be how this jurisdiction compares to other jurisdiction across the country. And again, I will remind you all, we will be the first in the United States to have this jurisdiction, the combined jurisdiction. There's no other oversight body in the US that I've been able to find that has these two things, but along with that comes the resources. And so I have specifically put in a request to add 4 additional bodies to CLERB, 2 special investigators, 1 community outreach and media individual, and then a data and policy analyst. And so we are really hoping that even within a shorter time frame that we get the 2 staff positions open, and then we anticipate that the push for the additional investigators will come after that 1 year of the jurisdiction being passed, because that'll be the time at which we start to see some of the medical jurisdictions. And then I also requested a significant budget increase for medical contract services to review the medical records. So once that memo is published to the Board of Supervisors, I will provide it to the board and we'll get it out to the public as soon as possible, but it has not been published as of yet. We put out a community survey. We provided some of the attachments for the meeting today to give you an idea of the traffic that we saw on our website and the suggestions that were made. We're going to use that feedback. We're going to now request the board to give us some feedback as well on what you would like to see for 2025 moving forward, some goals for CLERB. Obviously, one of the big pushes was the medical jurisdiction, and we will not slow down on that. It's somewhat out of our hands, as this is now a Board of Supervisors decision, but we will continue to advocate, and we would ask for the community and the board members to continue to do that as well. Now with a change in the board, it might be more important than ever. Just an update on the letter of concern regarding the death study. Just to let the community know, we have not received a response yet, but we will continue to update as we move along. This is in line with Chief Nelson coming. I do want to say that we spent a lot of time with Ellen and myself and counsel for probation to work at a process that we can access both adult probation records and juvenile records. This wasn't an issue in the past. There was some freer interpretation of what information they could give us. And it was at a point in time when the juvenile court had limited what they could provide without a petition. So what we have to do is get information from probation like they normally would, and they have to give us enough information so that we can petition the juvenile court for them to release records back to us. So it's going to be a bit of a process, but I will say that we were provided with names and information that allowed us to file petitions on those 28 cases that we got notice on last year, and we will be moving forward with petitions on that. And that probation has also agreed to do what the sheriffs have been doing for a long time, which is give us the monthly reportables of use of force incidents that results in injuries. And so we will move forward each month with new petitions each time they provide us with that information. So I do want to thank probation with working really hard on this. I know it's some of that is out of their control too, and that the courts control those records. It's not the probation department. And so they've been working hard with us. I know many of you attended online, I think the BSCC in custody death review that Ms. Ganter put on. I just want to remind the community that I'll be in regular contact with her as well. This won't be a one-time thing. We will be in regular contact, and I expect us to work closely together and see how we can aid each other in this process. I take this time now as a reminder to the community. If there's community events that you believe CLERB staff, myself, any of the investigators or our leadership team that can come out and provide some information to the community, let them know how to file complaints, let them to know what our jurisdiction is, what our process is, right? Have that information up front so that when you don't get a response right away, because maybe we don't have the records yet, or that we aren't allowed to share some of those records, that it isn't a shock to the community when they find out that that's the case. So as long as we're upfront with the community as much as we can, I want to get out there and provide as much of that education as possible. We would love to come out and provide as much education on that as possible. We are working on a question log that we can do a better job of keeping track of those questions, and not only of the board members, but of the community members that come forward and ask questions that they may not get an answer to tonight. We're going to try to make sure that we follow up and get answers out to the community if we can. Other than that, you will see the workload reports. We only added 14 new cases. We closed 22, and right now we're down to 146 open investigations. And that is it for my report.
Like us to get you the information. There are 3 community events coming up.
Give me 1 second. We'll open it up for public comment towards the end. Sorry. I just want to make sure that your question's heard properly. Thank you for that. Thank you for the executive officer's report. I do want to know, specifically with us being the first in the U.S. with medical jurisdiction, I want to thank you. I want to thank Ellen for all that you've done. And I want to thank the community members that have consistently come out and consistently gone to the Board of Supervisors to make sure that this remained in the eye of the people. I'm going into the board chair's report. We have a public comment update. This public comment update is to standardize what your expectations are of public comments. We met together and we wanted to make sure that you understood that when you came into this room, it was consistently the same. So I will read it as it has been updated. And this will start with the March 2025 board meeting. The following rules will apply for public comment, participation, and request to speak submissions. Public comment submission online. To submit a public comment online, participants must complete the submission form available on the CLERB website. Incomplete forms will not be considered, so please be as thorough as possible. The completed form must include the following details: the participant name, the preferred participation method, either in person, online, or comment. For the participants who want to submit their comment to be read for the public, the comment word limit is 300 words. The agenda item number, please refer to the meeting agenda to identify the correct number so that we read it at the correct time. Submission deadline, the online submission portal will close promptly at 12 noon on the day of the meeting. This is in line with other government boards as well. In-person request to speak. If you are attending in person, you may still submit a request to speak on site by filling out a request slip. Please include your name, clearly written, agenda item number so that we may call you at the proper time. Late submissions, request to speak will not be accepted once the corresponding agenda item has been called to start. So please make sure you get them in from the very beginning of the meeting. Again, online participation, if you wish to speak online, you may raise your hand using the Zoom functionality before the corresponding agenda item begins. If you intend to speak on a later agenda item, you do not need to raise your hand at the beginning of the meeting. The chair will provide a reminder to online participants to raise their hands prior to the start of each agenda item. And once the meeting is called to order, no interruptions to staff will be permitted. We are just making sure that you all understand this and so that we can flow and make sure you are all heard in a proper time and manner. We are going to allow public comment. 15 minutes for this item, so we will cap it at 2 minutes for each person so that they can respond to what they wanted to respond to, correct? So we're not going to do public comment on the public comment?
I have one online from Andrea.
Wait, before we do that, Ellen, is it something that we are able to do if it is not agendized?
It is not agendized under the executive officer's report, the board chair report, or new business. The next time that public comment will be allowed as agendized is under number 9A, unfinished business.
I apologize. Allow me to get to that point, and then we will open it up for public comment. I apologize to whoever it was online.
Thank you.
It looks like we have no new business. And we're going to go over to unfinished business. So would you like to inform us of the unfinished business?
Yes, as we placed on our website in November, when we talked last time, we wanted to give the community opportunity to take a look at the audit recommendations from both the state and from the SDGA report. I apologize on that. And then so that we had an opportunity for you to ingest all that and then give public comment today. So then we would open that up for public comment at this time.
Okay, we will open that up for public comment. Nars, whenever you're ready.
Thank you. First, we will call Yusuf Miller.
I'm kind of at a loss, actually. My name is Yusef Miller, North County Equity and Justice Coalition, Saving Lives in Custody, California. And I didn't see the attachment that you had on this report, this audit report. So, but go ahead.
That was on the November meeting. It was for the last time we met. Or I'm sorry, December.
On December. Okay.
I apologize. Yes, December meeting. It was put there so that we would have the 2-month time frame.
Okay. And could you please resubmit it for the community? Well, it's probably on the tracker, but let the community know that it's based on that one, because I didn't get that when I was looking at the agenda.
We will do that. We can put that up again.
Thank you. I would appreciate that. And while I'm here, since I have the microphone, I will say that with the audit, the state has worked hard on that audit to put out, and I think it needed a lot of tweaking that we needed from these other authorities, and I would really appreciate looking at it. I'm gonna go back and look at what was put out. The information from San Diegans for Justice was thorough. Very thorough, and we would like for all of those recommendations to be followed and implemented, and a lot of them is in the course that we're going already, which is appreciated. But of course, as we are community members, as we are impacted family members, we want all speed and expeditious movement towards adopting these things. So from that platform, not seeing what we have there, I'm going to go look at it, but let's please keep our nose to the grindstone and improve on what the audit from the state had and implement what we have from San Diegans for Justice. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will call Paloma Serna.
My name is Paloma Serna, a mother of Elisa Serna, who died November 11, 2019. I'm with the North County Equity and Justice Coalition and the Saving Lives in Custody, California. We need to continue to accept all recommendation from San Diegan Justice. Now, there's been a very long delay in that. People are still dying in custody. You know, we had one in December, we had one death, and we already had a death just last month. And so we need to not delay anymore and just go ahead and accept these recommendation and you know, let's have the sheriff do her job. Thank you.
I have a request to speak from Sabrina Woodall, but I don't see her in the room and she's not available online. So I will move to the online requesters, and I have one requester, Andrea San Julian.
Hello, thank you so much for entertaining this issue today. My name is Andrea St. Julian, and I am the co-chair and co-founder of San Diegans for Justice. We are the organization that commissioned the report that issued 70 recommendations for CLERB to meet the challenges that it is facing. We commissioned and provided the county with this report several years ago. And the CLERB was wonderful in looking at those 70 recommendations and agreeing that 68 of them should be implemented. CLERB and the county really need to move forward in implementing all of the recommendations that it accepted. And I do want to point out one thing that I think is of particular importance. Now that you're, particularly because your duties have and authority have expanded, CLERB is severely underfunded. And that was one of the most surprising things about the report that we commissioned. And so I would really urge CLERB, now that its authority is expanded, to accept the recommendations and pay particular attention to the need to increase its budgeting and funding. Thank you.
I have Elka next.
Yes, hi. I'm here with North County Equity and Justice Coalition, Saving Lives in Custody campaign, as well as TAP for youth and adults. I wanted to address the question. There are a number of great events, and I would love to see people show up at the NAACP free event coming up on the 10th. So where is the best place for me to go ahead and get the list of events, because we're still celebrating Black History Month. We will never stop celebrating it every single day in my life. And I think it's very important for us to hear from a wonderful organization like that. And also we have BAPAC having an event at the end of the month. And then next month we have MOGO having their 5-year anniversary. All great events. So who would you like me to send those to? Because these are wonderful organizations with great leadership.
There's the CLERB email that you can always send to that gets to all of us, but you also have my personal information on there. And so my email's on the website, and you're always welcome to share those. We hope that at some point in the near future, we have a community outreach individual that will help us to really coordinate all these things. But for now, do it that way.
Yes, and I will also stand that everything requested by San Diegans for justice does get implemented. And also, yes, you do not the fact that you're giving your time to be here, you guys have my utmost respect. And some of you I know better than others, and you have the awe of what you're doing. There needs to be funding, at least paying for your gas and your time at a minimal amount. I mean, something, but you guys definitely deserve some financial, reinforcement. So thank you very much.
And that concludes the request to speak for this item.
Sorry, I apologize. This is a rules and regulations that was done in coordination with County Council, who are preparing the ordinance that will go to the Board of Supervisors. And so we drafted our two documents together to better align. There is nothing new in the actual jurisdiction. I've highlighted some changes. We've moved the words around a little bit so that we make sure we kept everything in order. But it does not diminish in any way any of the jurisdiction that we put forth before. It just better aligns with the county and their ordinance. And so we would need that to move forward so that the Labor Department can start meet and confer with the different unions affected by the jurisdiction change.
I move to approve.
We have a first and a second. Secretary, will you call the roll?
Vice Chair Nadia Keene Ayub,
Yes.
Secretary Bonnie Kank, yes. Dr. Brown,
Yes.
Adele Fasano,
Yes.
Ariana Federico Mondragon,
Yes.
Tim Madelson,
Yes.
Tim Ware.
Yes.
Let the record reflect that the motion passed unanimously.
Thank you, Secretary. We will now open it up for board member comments. No comments this evening?
I had one question for the EO's report. You mentioned 4 additional staff, 2 investigators, and what were the other 2 positions?
One would be a communications director, someone that can assist us with our community outreach, press, media, that type of thing. And then the other position would be a data/policy analyst, someone who can help us in all those different areas that we have been doing on our own without that expertise.
Thank you. And I would just like to thank Lieutenant Perkins for his great job in providing that tour for us. Very informational and educational. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Ms. Mondragon?
For the positions, they're gonna be coming with budget requests, or are they already in the budget for fiscal year?
So it's going to be part of this memo, which hasn't
Okay.
been finalized yet. So I'd love to say that it's going to go all the way through. I believe it will, but the modifications that will probably happen during this fiscal year would be a movement of bodies from potential other positions within FG3 to allow us to get those FTEs, those full-time positions. And then the additional special investigators will be built into the budget, most likely for the beginning of the 26-27 budget, which will be next summer, because we believe at that point in time is when we will start seeing the additional investigation needs.
And then the budget allocations, they're for CLERB is not under public safety, it's for
That is correct. We are under the FG3,
FG3, okay.
the government funding for
Officials,
us.
yeah,
Yeah, we are separated from the Department of Public Safety.
I think I did have another question, but I'm blanking out. The question was for Board of Supervisors meeting. Will you be presenting?
So in this time, it's just a memo that is produced from us. I will say they allowed me quite a bit of latitude to basically write the entire memo. It's going to be pushed by FG3, but they were worked collaborative with me to do that. I'd love to tell you all the different things that are going to be in there. I'm going to wait until it gets published so that I make sure that we don't say something that might not get published.
Okay, thank you.
Any more board comments this evening? Thank you so much. At this time, I would like to call up the sheriff liaison for any inquiries.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Just want to start off by thank you, Board Member Ware, for those kind comments, and EO Kalina. I just want to thank all of you for participating. This is something we've wanted to do for a while, but it's quite a production as far as the amount of resources to put in. So I want to make sure it was worth your while. So the turnout was amazing. So I thank you all for taking the time out of your day, out of your Saturday, to come out there. We wanted to have it on a Saturday so you folks could make it, because we know y'all work hard during the week on your day jobs. So so thank you for coming out, making it a success. I know all the deputies that were out there really enjoyed interacting with you. Those are pretty much our top trainers on the department for the various disciplines, that we had out there. So I appreciate the commitment from you all. And like EO Kalina said, I would like to make this a annual thing to give all of you that firsthand, tactile experience on some of the things we do, and to kind of coincide with the turnover that's normal with the board members and investigators, so everyone will have that experience. I look forward to setting that up. But thank you again for your commitment.
Are there any board questions? Ms. Mondragon?
I'm not sure if it would be appropriate in this space, but we did talk about the tasers, and there's new negotiations. When we spoke to the train, I think there was a limited amount of ammunition left, supply left. Are there any updates of your transitions to using tasers?
So I'm sorry, a limited supply, like not everybody has a taser, or I don't know the question.
No. Can you help me?
Or you're talking about the new taser,
Subsequent,
the new
yeah,
taser.
the new taser.
Yes.
The fact that you can't get the supplies for the old taser.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I know we're in the process of getting new tasers. The tasers we have are great, but with technology, taser new products, they have more benefits. So yeah, we're in the process of working through that with our contracts and everything. So like anything else, tasers are used around the country. So we just once we get those contracts in place, we just we get them as they become available. But we're a large department, 2,500 sworn members, and we try to outfit pretty much everybody with one to have that less lethal option. So
Yeah. I think where my concern was coming from is that there was a limited amount, and it just kind of raised some flags that, it's really being left to your negotiations to
yeah, I'm not.
keep up.
I don't have any information on that. I just know currently we're all pretty much outfitted with them, so we have them. Like I
Okay.
said, it's just one of those things. As new technology becomes available, just like body worn cameras, we're also going to upgrade those, because we're on, like, I think the third generation of those. So just like anything else, we try to get the latest and greatest. So at some point, I'm sure we'll all have the most current. But the good news is we all currently have tasers and they're a great resource. So
Yeah, thank you.
you're welcome.
Are there any more board comments? I do have one,
Sure.
a question that goes back to Mr. Yusuf Miller's inquiry on if it is possible to give us data on how many inmates are neurodivergent that are being housed in the different jails and how many are affected with mental health. You explained to us the services, but I was hoping to get actual data to see if we could configure that. And since we're asking the probation department for the youth, I'd like to ask the sheriff's department for the adults.
Sure. I will definitely run that up the chain for you.
Thank you. I believe that's all. Thank you so much for your time.
Well, and I'm sorry, I forgot to say welcome to the new board member. You're welcome. All right. Thank you all.
I would like to invite up the probation liaison.
Good evening.
Good evening. Are there any board questions? Brett? I believe Chief Nelson gave us quite some answers, so we appreciate your time and your time being here. Do you have any updates for us?
No real updates, but I'll take this opportunity to put my supervisor on the spot, Division Chief Lefebvre. Christine Lefebvre is our division chief for professional standards. Just wanted you to have a face with the name in case you see her name on any correspondence or anything that we do. But no, I appreciate everybody's hard work. Like it was mentioned, we're working really hard with council to try to work out some issues to provide some information. And Ellen has been working hard. I know our council and everybody is diligently working to get this stuff done. But thank you.
I would add, because this has come up a couple times today about how the youth in your detention facilities would know about CLERB or any of the others. And I know that something has been recently updated on that, if you don't mind filling in the board.
Well, like Chief Nelson said, there's a lot of information in our facilities and our housing units, signage, youth handbooks, advocates that share information. I don't want to say youth, young people, because they're not all youth. Some of them are in their 20s, have access to grievance forms, information, OICR information, PREA ombudsman. CLERB is definitely available to them. As far as any specific CLERB signage, I don't know if that's been addressed at this point, but our officers are certainly savvy about CLERB and its existence, and the young people's families are as well. So citizens complaints is available through our website. There's various avenues for anybody who works with us in or out of custody to access CLERB or any other oversight body.
Thank you for the update.
You're welcome.
And I believe that concludes the evening. Ellen, if you could read us into closed session.
Thank you very much, Acting Chair Keena Ayub. For tonight's closed session, number 12, we have several items. 12A is conference with legal counsel pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9 pending litigation. 12B is public employee discipline dismissal release pursuant to Government Code Section 54957. And we have 16 matters, and and they are listed in the agenda, and that concludes my read-in. Thank you.
Can we take 15 just for a break? Thank you.